Hello and welcome to Faith on Film, the show where I unpack the faith at the heart of your favourite films. My name is Shane Pettit and I am your host. Last week, I spoke a lot about hope and goodness in The Lord of the Rings. Ultimately, it's a story of good overcoming evil and hope overcoming despair. This week, I want to look at how hope is fulfilled in the story and also have a look at how hope is fulfilled in Christianity. When we first meet one of Frodo's companions, Aragorn, we know him as a ranger, which is a kind of wandering warrior type figure. He's a bit disheveled, he doesn't shave, he's a bit mysterious. We soon learn that Aragorn is the long-lost heir to the throne of Gondor, and the people of Middle-earth have been waiting for generations upon generations for the return of the king. There are definite second coming vibes here, but also the idea of the king as a wandering itinerant is no coincidence. This is how Christ is encountered in the Gospels, not like some king exalted on the throne. He's just an ordinary guy in ordinary clothes. Jesus even mocks Caesar when he rides into Jerusalem, not on the back of noble horses, but on the back of a donkey. Humility was obviously a core principle for Jesus. Aragorn, who is also humble, is not seeking the throne. He is weighed down by his ancestry. He is the descendant of the king who refused to destroy the ring and thus broke the line of kings.
The same blood flows in my veins. The same weakness.
Aragorn really doubts that he is strong enough to be king. And his kingship is questioned by the character Boromir. His father is the steward of Gondor, basically the de facto leader until the king returns. Boromir has some misguided ideas about the ring.
Give Gondor the weapon of the enemy. Let us use it against him.
You cannot wield it. None of us can.
This reminds me of Paul's letter to the Romans when he says, "Let us do evil so that good may come." Basically, he is calling out the idea that the means can justify the ends. You cannot do evil so that good may come. We learn that Boromir is suffering. He carries the burden of his people and worries about the fate of their land.
Even now, there is hope left. But I cannot see it.
We get the sense that Boromir is starting to warm to Aragorn, that he can see that leadership quality inside him, that he's a potential saviour for his people.
And the Tower Guard shall take up the call. The Lords of Gondor have returned.
But eventually, Boromir's suffering leads him to try and take the ring from Frodo. He betrays him, and he also betrays the Fellowship. But he immediately regrets his actions and asks for forgiveness. Unlike Gollum, Boromir isn't really like Judas. He's actually more like Peter. In the Bible, Peter denies Christ 3 times. And in The Lord of the Rings, Boromir denies that Aragorn is the true king.
Gondor has no king. Gondor needs no king.
Ultimately, Boromir redeems himself, fighting to his death while trying to save Merry and Pippin. And his final words to Aragorn show that he truly recognises him as the king.
I would have followed you, my brother. My captain. My king.
There are glimpses of Aragorn's kingship throughout the story. It's not just a title, but it's something that lives within his DNA.
There is always hope.
He shows himself to be the true heir.
I would have gone with you to the end. Into the very fires of Mordor.
I know.
In the film The Return of the King, we finally get to see the White Tree of Gondor. This is the tree that flowers when they have a king. And so, for a very long time, the tree has remained without leaves.
The white tree, the tree of the king, will never bloom again.
Why are they still guarding it?
They guard it because
because they have hope. A faint and fading hope that one day it will flower. The king will come, and this city will be as it once was, before it fell into decay.
This gives us a wider sense of how the land and the people are suffering without their king. Finally, Aragorn owns his ancestry and takes up the legendary sword Anduril, which belonged to the kings of the past. He challenges Sauron and makes his claim for the throne.
Behold the sword of Elendil.
After Frodo and Sam manage to destroy the ring, it is up to Aragorn to lead his people and build a new world. He represents a new hope for everyone. And what we see is the redemption and restoration of all the lands. This idea goes back to the old Holy Grail legends, that all the land suffers until King Arthur drinks from the Grail and the land is restored, along with his health. And with Aragorn, we see the white tree flower again. Now the disciples, after the crucifixion of Jesus, were lost and in despair. But with Christ's resurrection, the return of the King, there came hope. And this is the same hope that Christians put their faith in today. That's it for Faith on Film this week. Let me know if you've got any thoughts to add, or maybe even a suggestion for a future film to cover. See you next time.